Welcome to Implant Outlook, a podcast dedicated to the implant printing industry. Hi, everyone. Well, today I'm going to try something a little different. Instead of making you listen to my voice on the podcast, I'm turning it over to Sarah and Michael, two AI-generated voices created through Google's Notebook LM tool. And I must say it's pretty impressive what they've done here. I uploaded 20 articles from Implant Impressions about implants that have installed Inkjet, then wrote a detailed prompt about what I wanted them to focus on. And Notebook LM pumped out a full AI-generated discussion between these two amiable but non-existent people who nonetheless talked like experts about inkjet trends in the implant industry, citing examples of implants and the specific benefits Inkjet has brought them. It's pretty remarkable and well worth a listen. And if Sarah and Michael decided to flatter me a little bit in their conversation, well, who am I to stand in their way, right? In any case, I will now turn things over to them. Enjoy.
Okay, I want you to picture this. You're in downtown Indianapolis. You're just, walking down the street, maybe grabbing a coffee, and you look up. You see the Indiana Farm Bureau building, just a normal office building, right?
Yeah.
Except there's a massive piece of machinery hanging in the air from an industrial crane, and it's being threaded through a fourth-floor window.
Not exactly your standard office delivery.
Not at all. And inside, it's just controlled chaos. I mean, they're taking apart cubicles, moving people's desks, basically re-engineering the whole floor plan just to get this one thing inside. And it's all for a printer.
Yeah, that image, the crane, the sheer scale of it all, it's honestly the perfect way to start this conversation, because we are not talking about the little inkjet printer on your desk at home.
The one that always jams when you try to print something.
Or is always out of cyan ink.
Yeah.
We're talking about heavy iron. We're looking at this huge transformation happening in what's called the implant industry. We're seeing this historic shift away from the old toner-based machines.
Like a giant photocopier, basically.
That's a good way to think of it. And they're moving to what's called production inkjet. And looking at the case studies we have for this deep dive, especially from the last couple of years, this isn't just an upgrade. For a lot of them, it's a survival strategy.
Today's a little different. Today, we aren't just, scavenging the web for bits and pieces.
No, this is special.
We have essentially been handed the keys to the kingdom. A gentleman named Bob Neubauer.
A name that carries a lot of weight in this specific world.
Oh, huge weight. If you work in institutional printing, or what's known as the implant sector, you know Bob.
You definitely know Bob.
He's the editor of Implant Impressions, which is, it's effectively the Bible for the industry.
It really is.
And Bob opened up his archives for us. We're talking case studies, interviews, reporting from the floor of the Inkjet Summit, and Printing United Expo. He basically said, here's the raw data. Take the reins, tell the story of what's happening right now.
And we really, really need to thank him for that, because having access to this level of primary sourcing, these are direct interviews with managers on the ground.
Yeah.
It lets us paint a picture that, you just can't get from reading a manufacturer's brochure.
Absolutely. So thank you, Bob. And the story that comes out of this stack of reporting it's just fascinating. We're looking at a fundamental identity shift. We are watching the implant, which, let's be honest, used to be thought of as the copy center in the basement.
Where you went to get your syllabus copied.
Right. And now it's morphing into this high-tech manufacturing hub.
And the catalyst for all of this, the thing that's driving this whole metamorphosis, is the transition from fleets of toner machines to production inkjet.
It really feels like a tipping point.
It absolutely is. So the mission for this deep dive is to explore how, and I think more importantly, why implants are so aggressively moving away from those toner fleets and toward production inkjet presses.
And when you look at the coverage in Implant Impressions, or you hear the buzz for the Inkjet Summit, the signal is just loud and clear. That's the thing that really jumped out at me. The stakes feel incredibly high here. We're talking about millions in saved tax dollars. We're seeing actual changes in how kids learn in a classroom. And these internal shops are, in some cases, fighting for their very existence.
And that's really the mission for this deep dive. We want to unpack why now, why 2026 feels like the tipping point. Why is this technology, production inkjet, suddenly the gold standard for these places? And the answer is, it's a mix of things. It's economics, labor shortages, and just pure raw speed.
Well, let's start with speed, because some of the numbers in these reports, they honestly look like typos. We've got this case study from Christus Health down in Tyler, Texas.
Right, Del Schenkel's operation. He's the system director there.
So he talks about this one specific job, a direct mail run, 100,000 pieces. Now, in the old days, which was like 3 years ago, they ran this on toner presses.
Yeah.
How did that work? Why was it so slow?
It really comes down to the physics of the machine. I mean, with toner, you have so many steps. You're charging a drum, you're applying powder, transferring it to paper, and then, and this is the bottleneck, you have to fuse it with heat. You're literally melting plastic onto paper. It's hot, it's complex.
So for Christus Health, that 100,000-piece job took?
A day and a half. On 3 separate presses, all running full tilt.
A day and a half?
Yeah.
And that's assuming everything goes perfectly. No jams, no breakdowns.
Exactly. And probably 3 people watching those machines the entire time.
Okay, so then they bring in one machine, a single Canon Varioprint IX3200. It's an inkjet press. Same job, 100,000 pieces. What's the new time frame?
45 minutes.
That's hard to even process. From a day and a half down to 45 minutes.
It's a total game changer. You're going from that complicated heat and pressure process to just jetting ink onto paper at unbelievable speeds.
Yeah.
But here's the real insight for you. It isn't just about the operators getting to go home early.
Right. What does that speed actually do for the hospital?
It gives them agility. Del Schenkel talked about this. In healthcare, things change constantly. Regulations, drug interactions, insurance policies. So if you spend 2 days printing 20,000 booklets and you stick them on a shelf, and a rule changes the next day, what happens?
You throw them all out.
You throw them all out. It is money, just straight into the recycling bin. But if you can print the entire run in under an hour, you just don't print them until the day you need them. You switch from print in store to print on demand.
So your inventory cost just evaporates. You're not paying to store paper that might be obsolete tomorrow.
Precisely. And we see that same consolidation in schools, too. Look at the Hillsborough School District in Oregon. Dave Bryson over there, he replaced 4 toner machines with 1 inkjet press.
And the reliability numbers he shared were just wild. I think anyone listening who's ever worked in an office knows the pain of a printer being down.
Oh, it's a universal frustration. And toner machines, they just have so many moving parts that wear out, fusers, drums, all of it, high maintenance.
So Bryson said that in 2 months of running their new inkjet press, they had 1 single service call. He used to have an operator literally running between 6 different machines trying to keep them all going. Now one machine just runs and runs with fewer staff.
And you just hit on the second huge piece of this puzzle. We talked about speed. We have to talk about labor. It's the elephant in the room for the entire industry.
The people problem.
It is. I mean, the print industry is facing a massive labor shortage. All the experienced press operators, the real craftspeople who knew how to run these complex machines, they're retiring. And you don't have a line of young people waiting to learn that trade.
Yeah, we saw that warning from the GPO, the Government Publishing Office.
Greg Estep, yeah, he's a huge name in government printing, and he was so blunt about it. He just said, if you don't innovate, you won't be relevant. What he means is, if you don't automate with tech, like inkjet, you literally won't find the people to do the work.
So it's not automation taking jobs, it's automation filling a gap because the workers aren't there.
That's it, exactly. It's about making the people you do have 10 times more effective. If you can't hire 3 operators, you buy 1 machine that a single person can run.
Okay, so speed solves the inventory problem. Automation helps with the labor crisis. But let's pivot to the third piece, which I think is the one that affects the average person the most, and that's cost. Specifically, this idea of business color in schools.
This is maybe the most exciting part of the whole story. For decades, the rule in schools was simple. You print in black and white. End of story.
Because color was just way too expensive for a school budget.
Right. But think about what that actually means. If you're a science teacher and you have a chart showing different layers of rock or an ocean current map, and you print it in black and white.
It's useless. It's just a bunch of gray smudges. You can't tell anything apart.
Right. It's an educational barrier. The kids literally can't get the information. But this business color inkjet is changing all that.
There's a perfect example from Placentia Yorba Linda School District in California. Robert Arauz, the supervisor, had a teacher come to him. She was so frustrated because their student workbooks were costing $3.95 each.
Which, you multiply that by a few thousand students and your budget is just gone.
Gone. So Arauz looks into it. He installs a Kyocera Tascalfa Pro 15,000 Seek. It's one of these business color machines. It's not trying to print a fashion magazine. It's just trying to make good, readable color documents.
Yeah.
So what happened to that price tag?
It dropped to about 90 cents a book.
From almost $4 down to 90 cents. That's game-changing. That saves programs.
It is. But here's the kicker. That 90-cent price was for full color. They're now getting better educational materials for a quarter of what the old black and white ones cost.
Okay, how does that work? That seems backward. How is color cheaper now than black and white used to be?
It's all about the business model. With a lot of old toner contracts, you paid a click charge, a flat rate for every page. And the color click was always high to cover the costs of all those complex parts we mentioned, the fusers and drums.
So you paid the same if you printed a tiny logo or a full-page photo?
Often, yeah. But with these new inkjet machines, the mechanics are simpler. You're mostly just paying for the ink you actually use. If a page just has a bit of blue in a headline or a red bar on a chart, you only pay for those little drops of ink. It's way more efficient.
You called it the democratization of color.
I think that's a perfect phrase for it. We saw the same story with Chad Simpson in East Baton Rouge. He bought these Riso ComColor printers, and his original goal was just to solve a paper jam issue. He had these carbonless forms, you know.
Oh, yeah, the multi-part forms, those jam everything.
Everything. So his only goal was find a printer that won't jam.
Happy accident.
A very happy accident. He found out the Riso uses a cold process, no heat, so it handled the forms great. But then he looked at the numbers. He realized he could print all of their curriculum in color for less than 1 cent a page.
Less than a penny.
Less than a penny. Now they're doing 15 million pages a year. But I want to bring this back to the student. Dave Bryson from Hillsborough, he said it directly. Printing in color improves comprehension.
It helps kids actually learn.
And better comprehension leads to better test scores. Better scores lead to higher graduation rates. So you can draw a straight line from this technology to educational equity. It's not just ink, it's access to information.
That's a powerful point. It's easy to get lost in the tech specs and forget about the kid at the desk. But let's play devil's advocate. We've been talking about business color, which is efficient. For a long time, though, the big complaint about inkjet was quality. If you were a university printing a recruitment brochure, you wouldn't use it. It looked cheap.
That was absolutely true 5-10 years ago. You could see the difference. The text wasn't as sharp, colors were a little flat, but that gap has basically closed. We're now in the era of what they call offset replacement.
And we have a perfect case study for this from the University of Tennessee. Tim Price in Knoxville needed a new high-end press. But at a big university, the brand is everything. You cannot, under any circumstances, mess up the school colors.
Oh, absolutely not. You print the football program and the orange is off. You're going to hear about it from everyone.
They have a very specific color. PMS 151, Tennessee orange.
And for anyone who's not a designer, PMS is the Pantone matching system. It's the global standard for color. And orange is famously hard to get right on digital printers. It can look muddy or brown really easily.
So did the inkjet pass the Tennessee orange test?
It did, nailed it. Their new press matched it perfectly.
But there's another kind of quality, and that's durability. We've got this great story from Thrivent, the financial services company in Wisconsin. Their quality test was a little more practical.
The rain test.
I love this story. Brett Bernshine at Thrivent is looking at these huge, continuous feed inkjet presses, the ones that use giant rolls of paper.
Right, printing thousands of feet a minute. They're monsters.
And his big concern is, what happens to a statement when it sits in a wet mailbox in Portland or Miami?
It's a really valid worry. See, a lot of the early inkjet inks were dye-based. Think of it like food coloring. If it gets wet, it runs.
Which is a disaster on a bank statement. You can't have numbers smearing all over the page.
No way. So Bernshine, he literally took sample prints from different machines and ran them underwater. He simulated a rainy mailbox.
And the winner was?
The Screen True Press Jet 520NX, because it uses pigment ink.
Okay, what's the difference? Why does pigment ink hold up?
It's a chemical thing. Instead of dissolving in the water like a dye, pigment is like microscopic colored particles suspended in a liquid. When the liquid dries, those little particles are bonded to the paper. Once they're dry, they're waterproof, they don't run.
So it's weatherproof.
Essentially, yeah. And for Thrivent, that was the deciding factor. But then look at their volume. Bernshine said they have these quarterly surges where they print 6 or 7 million pages.
In the past, that had to mean overtime, right?
Oh, yeah. 2 weeks of running extra shifts, a total nightmare for scheduling. Now, with the speed of that inkjet press, they get the whole surge done in 8 or 9 days. No overtime. No weekends.
It just keeps coming back to the people, to the quality of life for the staff. But I want to zoom out for a second. We started with that crane in Indianapolis. That's a huge project. Not every implant can do that, right? Some of them are in tight spaces.
Absolutely. The market has really diversified. You have the heavy iron, but you also have these really agile solutions. Look at Amy Palmer at the Region 7 Education Service Center in Texas. She found out she had to move her entire shop because of a construction project.
And she was at a conference when she found out.
Right.
That's a horrible phone call to get.
A total nightmare. But she had a Riso GL7 430, and because that inkjet press doesn't have those huge hot fuser units, it uses way less power. They literally unplugged it, rolled it down the hall, and plugged it into a standard wall outlet.
The same outlet you'd plug your lamp into.
Exactly. You can't do that with the big toner press. Those need special wiring, reinforced floors sometimes. That flexibility is a huge deal.
But then you have the total opposite end of that spectrum. Omaha Public Schools, Mickey Hiller. She didn't just move down the hall. She moved her whole shop into an old biscuit factory.
The old U.S. Mills building, it's such a great image, right? Repurposing old industry for new industry.
And she didn't just buy one printer. She bought like one of everything.
It's an inkjet buffet, really. She installed more than 10 machines all at once, Kyocera, Riso, Ricoh, Canon. And the strategy there is something called total insourcing.
Explain that. Why would you want so many different machines?
The goal is for the in-plant to be able to do absolutely everything the district needs. Curriculum, of course, but also banners, business cards, wayfinding signs for the hallways. By having all that different tech in-house, they never have to say no. They keep all that money inside the organization instead of paying an outside vendor.
We saw that with Contra Costa County, too. Scott Plaskovich's team.
Right. That's a government union shop. But he said they operate like this tight-knit team, like a business. They're so efficient with their machine that they're actually doing print work for the neighboring city of Concord.
Which is a huge win for the city because as a government entity, the county doesn't have to charge sales tax.
Exactly. The taxpayers save money, and the in-plant generates revenue to help pay for its own gear. It flips the print shop from being a cost center to being a value generator.
That brings up a question for me. We're talking about huge investments, billions of dollars sometimes. If you're a manager, how do you make that call? You can't just take a guess.
No, you can't. The risk is way too high. You buy $1 million machine that doesn't work, you're probably out of a job. So you don't guess. You find a community.
Like Mike Griswold at Tacoma Public Schools.
Mike's story was great. He was so honest. He said he felt out of his league at first, but he joined this weekly Teams call with other print managers, and on that call, he heard Chad Simpson from Baton Rouge.
The guy with the Riso who solved the paper jam problem.
The very same. He heard Chad just raving about his Riso, and that direct peer-to-peer conversation is what convinced him. It's more powerful than any sales pitch. Managers trust other managers.
And that's really why an event like the Inkjet Summit is so important. It came up over and over in our research. Del Schenkel, Jeff Todd from Oregon State, they all pointed to this specific event.
Because it's not a normal trade show. You're not just wandering a giant floor while people trying to scan your badge.
It's more focused.
It is. It's set up for these one-on-one meetings. You get to sit down with someone who actually has the machine you're thinking of buying and ask them the real questions. You know, does it really work? What's the service like? What are the hidden costs?
And for anyone listening who might be in this world, we should probably give them the details. The next one is coming up.
It is April 27th to the 29th, 2026.
And it's in San Antonio at the Hyatt Regency Hill Country Resort.
Not a bad place to talk about printing. And this is key for qualified attendees. So if you run a shop and you're the one making these decisions, it's free. They cover your costs because they want the right people having these conversations.
So let's tie all this together. We've seen how speed enables print on demand. We've seen how cost savings are changing education. We've seen how quality is now rivaling traditional methods. What's the big picture takeaway? Where is all this heading?
I think the big picture is that the in-plant is fighting back. For, 20 years, the whole narrative from consultants has been outsource your printing. They told every CEO, every school board, get rid of the print shop. It's cheaper. Focus on your core business.
And the implants are proving them wrong.
Inkjet has completely flipped that script. By becoming faster, cheaper, and higher quality than the outside competition, these shops are saving their organizations huge amounts of money. Oregon State is saving $500,000 a year. They're making themselves indispensable. They are proving that doing it yourself is actually the smartest move.
So they're not just surviving, they're thriving.
Precisely. And I want to leave you with one final thought, something to really think about. We talk a lot about the money, but think about the supply chain.
Okay.
The old model was built on massive waste. You cut down trees to make paper, to print books that sit in a warehouse for a year and then get thrown away because one paragraph is outdated. We are moving to a much cleaner model. Inkjet lets you print exactly what you need, exactly when you need it.
It's a much smarter supply chain.
It is. It's printing with a conscience. It's where the economics and the environment actually line up. And that, I think, more than anything, is why this revolution is happening. It just makes sense.
That's a fantastic place to end it. If you're in the industry, you should definitely check out that Inkjet Summit in San Antonio.
Absolutely. It seems like that's where the future is being written. Literally.
Thanks for this deep dive. We will catch you on the next one.
Well, thank you, Michael and Sarah. That was some discussion, huh? But don't worry, they're not taking over. I'll be back running things again in the next episode of In-Plant Outlook. Don't miss it. Thanks for listening to the In-Plant Outlook podcast.